Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Val Kilmer is an American actor known for his versatility, intensity, and distinctive presence on screen. Born on December 31, 1959, in Los Angeles, California, Kilmer rose to prominence in the 1980s and 1990s, building a reputation as one of Hollywood's most enigmatic and committed performers. Early life and career: Kilmer attended Juilliard School's drama division, becoming one of its youngest students. His classical training contributed to a deep and often intense approach to acting. He began his career in the theater before making his film debut in the 1984 comedy Top Secret, where he showcased a flair for parody and musical performance. Breakthrough in Stardom: Kilmer's breakthrough came with Top Gun, 1986, where he played the cocky fighter pilot, Iceman, opposite Tom Cruise. The role cemented his status as a Hollywood heartthrob and action star. He followed it with a string of diverse performances, including the cult fantasy Willow, 1988, the Jim Morrison biopic The Doors, 1991, and the crime drama Heat, 1995, in which he starred alongside Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. Iconic roles: one of Kilmer's most iconic roles came in 1993 when he portrayed Doc Holliday in Tombstone. His performance, witty, haunted, and physically transformative, earned critical acclaim and remains a fan favorite. In 1995, he took on the role of Bruce Wayne, Batman, in Batman Forever, stepping into a blockbuster franchise with a brooding and psychological take on the character. Artistic range and challenges: Kilmer was known for his immersive, sometimes obsessive preparation for roles. He famously clashed with directors over creative differences, earning a reputation for being difficult. However, his commitment also led to unforgettable performances in films like The Saint, 1997, The Ghost in the Darkness, 1996, and The Salton Sea, 2002. Health battles and reinvention: in the 2010s, Kilmer faced a serious health crisis after being diagnosed with throat cancer. He underwent a tracheotomy, which significantly affected his voice and led to a retreat from mainstream film work. Despite these challenges, he continued to create, starring in art films, writing poetry, and publishing a memoir titled I'm Your Huckleberry, 2020, which offered candid reflections on fame, family, love, and mortality. In 2021, Kilmer made a moving return to the screen in Val, a documentary he co-produced using decades of home video footage. That same year, he reprised his role as Iceman in Top Gun: Maverick, 2022, in a scene that many found poignant and inspiring. Legacy: Val Kilmer is remembered not just for his striking looks or star power, but for his deep commitment to craft and his willingness to take risks. From comedy to action, from Shakespeare to blockbuster superheroes, he carved out a career on his own terms. His artistic bravery and personal resilience have earned him admiration well beyond Hollywood. Childhood and personal background: Val Edward Kilmer was born to Eugene and Gladys Kilmer in Los Angeles. His father was an aerospace equipment distributor and real estate developer, while his mother was of Swedish descent. His parents divorced when he was 9, and his younger brother Wesley died at age 15 from epilepsy complications, a loss that profoundly affected him. These early experiences shaped Kilmer's introspective nature and eventual gravitation toward the arts as a means of expression. Theatrical roots and method approach: after high school, Kilmer was accepted into Juilliard's prestigious drama division, where he focused heavily on classical training. Even in his early career, Kilmer exhibited signs of intense immersion in his roles. He was a method actor in spirit, sometimes staying in character between takes or pushing back against directors to maintain creative integrity. This fierce commitment helped make his performances resonate, even when the productions themselves were uneven. One early standout was his role as Hamlet at the Colorado Shakespeare Festival, a part he continued to revisit and idealize throughout his life, viewing it as a pinnacle of dramatic art. Key performances and milestones: The Doors, 1991. Jim Morrison Kilmer's portrayal of The Doors frontman remains one of his most haunting and immersive performances. He not only resembled Morrison physically but learned to mimic his voice and mannerisms with uncanny precision. Kilmer even performed his own vocals in many of the film's musical scenes, earning praise from band members and critics alike. The role demanded emotional and physical extremes, which Kilmer fully embraced. Tombstone, 1993. Doc Holliday often considered his finest work. Kilmer's portrayal of the tuberculosis-stricken gunslinger Doc Holliday was elegant, tragic, and wickedly sharp. He delivered iconic lines with a blend of humor and fatalism. "I'm Your Huckleberry" became a pop culture staple. His performance arguably elevated the entire film and outshone even the lead. Kurt Russell, Batman Forever, 1995. Bruce Wayne, Batman. Though the film was lighter and more stylized than Tim Burton's earlier installments, Kilmer brought a quieter, more introspective Bruce Wayne to the screen. He has since said the role was physically demanding and frustrating. His suit restricted movement and vision, which may have contributed to his decision not to return for sequels. Heat, 1995. Chris Shiherlis working alongside Pacino and De Niro, Kilmer held his own in Michael Mann's epic crime saga. His character was complex, loyal yet volatile, cold-blooded but sympathetic. The bank robbery shootout scene remains one of the most iconic action sequences in film history, and Kilmer's precision with weapon handling was notably praised by military professionals. Later career and underappreciated work in the 2000s, Kilmer's filmography diversified. He took on genre films, voice work, such as Moses in The Prince of Egypt, and independent productions. Noteworthy lesser-seen gems include The Salton Sea, 2002, a surreal noir about addiction and grief; Spartan, 2004, a David Mamet thriller where Kilmer played a terse, efficient military operative; Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, 2005, a dark comedy with Robert Downey Jr., in which Kilmer played Gay Perry, a tough-talking private eye. His comedic timing and deadpan delivery received acclaim and suggested a reinvention was possible. Health struggles and transformation. Around 2015, Kilmer began appearing gaunt and reclusive. He eventually revealed he had been diagnosed with throat cancer and underwent a tracheostomy, which severely altered his voice. For a long time, he kept his diagnosis private. Relying on spirituality, he's a devout Christian Scientist, as a source of strength and sometimes controversy. His illness, however, did not diminish his creative drive. The 2021 documentary Val is a profound meditation on art, legacy, and mortality, featuring narration by his son, Jack Kilmer. The film was compiled from decades of footage Kilmer had filmed himself, on set, backstage, and at home, offering an unusually intimate portrait of a Hollywood life lived with passion and pain. Top Gun: Maverick, 2022, a triumphant return in a film that was both a global phenomenon and a cultural event. Kilmer's return as Admiral Tom Iceman Kazansky was handled with extraordinary grace. His real-life condition was mirrored in the character, making the scene between him and Tom Cruise feel heartbreakingly real. Though brief, it was a highlight of the film and a reminder of Kilmer's deep emotional power, legacy, and cultural impact. Val Kilmer is not an easy actor to categorize. He avoided franchise stardom, took artistic risks, and often chose roles that challenged both himself and audiences. Despite being labeled difficult by some in the industry, many colleagues describe him as a generous collaborator with high standards. He is also a poet, painter, and performance artist. His later years have seen him exploring all these mediums more fully. In recent years, he launched Hell Mel Studios, a creative space in Los Angeles for emerging artists. And he continues to write and engage with fans through social media and exhibitions. Conclusion: Val Kilmer's story is one of raw talent, fierce independence, and artistic bravery. From cult classics to blockbuster hits, from Shakespeare to superheroes, his career defies easy narrative. His struggle with cancer and the grace of his return have redefined him in the public eye, not just as an actor, but as a symbol of resilience, creativity, and the enduring power of the human spirit. Val Kilmer. The outsider inside Hollywood. Val Kilmer has always been something of a paradox. A classical actor in a blockbuster world, a movie star with the soul of a poet, and a man both revered and misunderstood. His legacy is not just built on his roles, but on the intense and often defiant way he pursued his craft and his life. A reluctant star in a commercial system. Despite his leading man looks and mainstream appeal, Kilmer never fully embraced the traditional Hollywood path. He was selective to a fault, turning down or walking away from potential tentpole projects. For example, he reportedly passed on a role in The Matrix and was hesitant about Batman Forever from the start. While this frustrated studios, it also preserved his artistic integrity and kept him from being typecast. His instinct was always to challenge himself, not to coast on fame. This was evident even in his portrayal of real-life figures, from Jim Morrison to John Holmes, Wonderland, to Mark Twain, in his one-man stage show, Citizen Twain. Kilmer chose complexity over comfort. Art beyond acting. Poet, painter, performer. Kilmer is also a serious visual artist and writer. In recent years, he's held gallery exhibitions of his paintings, often combining abstract forms with text, some inspired by biblical themes, others deeply personal. His memoir, I'm Your Huckleberry, is filled with lyrical, spiritual musings. Far from the usual Hollywood tell-all, he explores love, including romances with Cher, Cindy Crawford, and Daryl Hannah, mortality, fame, and regret with rare vulnerability. He has also written and staged theatrical works, most notably Citizen Twain, in which he portrayed Mark Twain in makeup and full costume, engaging in monologues that blended comedy, history, and social commentary. He intended this project as a film, but his cancer diagnosis paused production. Even so, he continued to develop it in other formats. Personal life, love, family, and solitude. Kilmer never remarried after his divorce from British actress Joanne Whalley, whom he met during the filming of Willow. They have 2 children, Mercedes and Jack, both of whom have entered the creative arts. Jack in particular has become a talented actor and voice artist. Kilmer has spoken often about his love for his children and the clarity his illness brought to those relationships. He has had high-profile romances with some of the most iconic women of his generation, including Michelle Pfeiffer and Angelina Jolie, but his memoir frames love as something he often sought more than sustained. He has described himself as a loner and restless in relationships, a reflection perhaps of the same uncompromising nature that drove his career choices. Spiritual views and inner life. Raised a Christian Scientist, Kilmer has remained devout throughout his life, even when his beliefs conflicted with conventional medical treatment. His faith, while controversial to some, has been a steady force, not dogmatic but deeply personal. In Val, and in interviews, he often discusses his belief in healing, divine love, and creativity as a spiritual path. Industry reputation. The myth of difficult. For years, Kilmer was labeled difficult to work with, a term often used for artists who resist control. Directors like Joel Schumacher, Batman Forever, and John Frankenheimer, The Island of Dr. Moreau, voiced frustrations. But Kilmer's defenders, including Tony Scott and Michael Mann, praised his depth and preparedness. The reality is more nuanced. Kilmer is a perfectionist, and at times, that clashed with the rigid hierarchies of film sets. However, even those who struggled with him acknowledged his brilliance and commitment. Public image and reassessment. In the wake of his illness, public perception has shifted. The documentary Val humanized him in a way few celebrity profiles have managed, showing his vulnerability, wit, sadness, and enduring creative hunger. Younger generations, too, are discovering his work, especially with the success of Top Gun, Maverick, and the rediscovery of Tombstone, The Doors, and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. He is now recognized not just as a star who burned bright, but as a multi-talented artist who defied convention and paid the price, and yet emerged with soul intact. Symbol of resilience. Few actors in modern Hollywood have endured such a personal and professional transformation. Kilmer's voice, once his greatest asset, was taken from him. Yet he found new ways to express himself. He embodies a kind of old-school romanticism, where art is a form of sacrifice, and fame is something to be survived, not pursued. Influence on cinema and culture. Kilmer's work has influenced a generation of actors who admire depth over ease. His Doc Holliday remains one of the most quoted characters in film history. His portrayal of Jim Morrison inspired a wave of biopic performances that aim not just to imitate but to embody. His journey through cancer and return to the screen has inspired millions. His influence also extends into internet culture. Memes, tribute videos, and quote compilations have given his characters second lives online, particularly among cinephiles and nostalgic Gen Xers. In summary, a living legend. Val Kilmer is not just a movie star. He is a rare breed, a seeker, a visionary, and a survivor. His career is a study in contrast, mainstream success and artistic rebellion, public adoration and private pain. Whether he's remembered for Iceman, Doc Holliday, or simply as Val, the man who never stopped creating, he has etched his presence into the soul of American film. Val Kilmer, the artist beneath the armor. While many know Val Kilmer as Iceman or Batman, the full scope of his ambition and talent stretches far beyond the confines of mainstream roles. At heart, Kilmer has always considered himself an artist first, actor second, someone for whom performance is not just a job, but a means of spiritual exploration. Philosophy on acting and art. Kilmer approaches acting as a sacred craft. Unlike many actors who embrace celebrity culture, he resisted Hollywood's machinery. In his memoir I'm Your Huckleberry, he writes, "Fame is sort of like a disease. You have to work at staying well, grounded, and mostly alone." He often saw his roles as opportunities for transformation, not into characters, but into deeper versions of himself. He studied Carl Jung, poetry, mysticism, and spirituality. This often gave his performances a psychological intensity that even the best directors sometimes struggled to harness. He once described acting not as pretending but as becoming, saying he tried to inhabit a role from the inside out. This is why even his less successful films contain moments of brilliance. His commitment was never halfway. Hidden gems and lesser-known projects. In addition to his mainstream hits, Kilmer worked on several experimental, independent, are quietly released projects that reflect his artistic courage. The Ten Commandments, the musical, 2006, Kilmer played Moses in this large-scale stage production in Los Angeles, merging his love of music, spirituality, and theater. It was filmed for television.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching.